How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Alan Staley, and this is Slinging Dirt with Staley. And on this week's episode, he's a hard-working father of a newly turned 1-year-old, a steel worker by trade, and a multi-time feature winner in both wing and non-wing events. Hailing from Higginsville, Missouri, driver of the Alumbaugh Incorporated, York Heating and Cooling, Brickwood Masonry, the man of steel number 33, Austin Alumbaugh. Austin and I take a trip down his racing-infused memory lane, ranging anywhere from growing up at an open-wheel legend shop to even discussing some helpful time management techniques. He's currently sitting 10th in the ASCS Warrior Region point standings. Alumbaugh always seems to be near the front, having already claimed 3 top 10s so far this season. With his thrilling, smart, hard-driving style, Austin routinely picks up heat race victories and hard charger accolades. Career-wise, Austin has claimed 2 regional victories as well as dozens of local wins in a multitude of open-wheel classes. We recorded this episode a couple hours before racing at Lake Ozark Speedway, so we were kind of rushed for time, and what a shame that was because this was a fun episode for me. Austin came in ready to share stories with thought-out and thought-provoking responses, and there was a couple of times throughout the episode where I truly forgot that we were recording, and instead it just simply felt like old buddies hanging out. To add to it, after Alumbaugh raced that night, finishing 6th in the feature I might add, Austin found me in the pits and still had the show on his mind, suggesting an idea of maybe getting a handful of drivers together in the off-season for a panel-type show. I, for one, can't wait to try to set this up, as well as trying to get Austin back on the show for next season because I feel we barely scratched the surface on this one, showing just how much of a good dude he really is. Hear all about his humble beginnings, plus if deer can somehow psychically predict racetrack rollovers, why trying to fly a sprint car solidifies a nickname, and how a random ice storm can help to shape an entire life. All that and more on an all-new Slinging Dirt with Staley with guest Austin Alumbaugh, starting right now.
Oh man, I was probably 6-8 months old until the time I was probably first grade. My babysitter was Sandy Brown at the time.
Okay.
And that is Brian Brown's mother and Danny Lasowski's sister.
so connected right from the get.
Yes,
yeah.
I rolled right into it. And anytime we'd end up in Dover, where Danny had the car at the time, I was always in the shop, and I mean, I was little. I'd walk in the door, and George and Dude would be back there working on the race cars. They'd both say hi to me and say, "Hey, don't touch anything." I'd put my hands in my pockets. I'd just walk around and look.
That's pretty cool. How long have you been behind the wheel?
Behind the wheel? Oh wow! Now you're throwing me for a loop. I want to say 2000. Well, would have been 2002, I believe. It might have actually been 2001. They had the real bad ice storm we had back in 2001 when everyone was out of power. A couple of buddies I have, the Ryan boys, I think there's 3 of them. 2 of them are still racing now.
Yep.
They all had micro sprints. And my uncle owns the heating and cooling business, and we were riding around helping get everyone we knew back on power so that way they could have heat and stuff like that. And for me, it was just a side job I did. I helped Uncle Kevin. I did absolutely nothing, but I got paid to do it.
You were there anyway, yeah.
So we ended up going over to the Ryans and helping get things straightened out there. I had all the micros in the shop, working on them, getting ready for the upcoming racing season, and we started talking with them, and we walked out of there. We got the truck, and he goes, "Do you want to do that?" I was like, "Oh, more than anything in the world, that's what I want to do." Because ever since I was little, all I ever wanted to be was a sprint car driver.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Well," "if you can find a car," and told me a budget to stay under. He goes, "For that range, find it, give me all the information on it, and let's talk about it. Let's talk it over with your mom and dad." I was like, wow, okay. So I spent the next 8 hours after I got home. I was up all night that night going through every racing classifieds page I could find and found a list of about 2 or 3 of them. We decided to go to Oklahoma to pick one up. We met a guy in Tulsa, Oklahoma about 3 weeks later, and by the time spring rolled around, had my first micro sprint, and oh man, it was god-awful ugly whenever I first got it. But we did some work and paint and stuff like that, but of course the common stuff for me now. But got it all ready to go and found out that I was absolutely terrible in a micro.
It took you a little while to...
Look, we had no knowledge of anything because I skipped the go-kart phase. I skipped
just
all
right
of it.
into
Just right into the micros. Yeah, made a lot of really good friends then. Those first few years. Actually, I'm married to one of them now. We still race with quite a few of them, like the Cornells and the Ryan boys, and among others. But yeah, that's how it originally got started, and it snowballed from there.
When did you make the transition from the micros into the 360s?
2005. We were in the micros, and we started to get better equipment. It was one of those things where I was funding about 75% of it, to where time I had no job whatsoever. It was just me working on my Uncle Kevin's farm here and there. So essentially, Uncle Kevin was funding it. It came probably December that year, and we were always out at Lasowski's shop because he was racing with TSR at the time, had the brand new facility. We were always out there hanging out. Dude caught Dad one day and goes, "Hey," he goes, is your guys' plan to jump to sprint cars eventually? Yeah, I was like, yeah, someday. He goes, I don't know. He goes, we're trying to figure it out. He goes, you need to do it, because if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
Never going to do it,
You're
right.
just going to keep running micros.
Yep.
He started lining us out on a few things here and there as far as, well, this person has a good car for sale, that person has a good car for sale. And the 305 deal had been going for a few years by then.
Right.
Like, all right, well, we're going to try this 305 deal. We got the car, had everything ready. We're waiting on a motor. I had sent everything to a guy to get built. I'd ordered pistons. They were custom ordered, so they said. I waited for 3 weeks for pistons, and they were getting ready for the first World of Outlaws race down here at Lake Ozark Speedway. And they had micros. Power I had just started up.
Yeah.
They had micros for the sideshow.
Right.
Oh, we're going to go to that. That's going to be cool. So I took an A-class car, which is a completely stock micro, to an open show on a big track. And realized how far off they really were.
Yeah, you're underpowered, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, we get down there, and Lasowski's here, of course, and he comes walking over and goes, why do you guys have the micro here? Aren't they running 305s at Warrensburg, which is 15 minutes from our house? Like, well, yeah, but we don't have pistons. And before we got through with the heat race, Danny had already told us, hey, pistons will be there tomorrow morning. He had called one of his sponsors at the time and told him what we had going on and hooked us up. And I mean, if it wasn't meant for that, who knows if we ever would have got it done.
Why the number, the 33? Any big significance?
Well, the 33 is actually, that's Danny's number. And it was funny, when we first started looking at doing all this stuff, we talked about having, because they were doing all the wraps on all of Lasowski's cars, and we talked with the graphics guy, so we made the trip that same day on that same ice storm out to the Lasowski's to talk with them. And the guy was out there wrapping cars. So we thought about, well, we're just going to make it look exactly like Lasowski's car. It's like, oh, that'd be great.
That'd be pretty
just
cool.
run number 20, it'd be cool.
Yep.
Well, started looking at the registration, and you have to register your number down there, and you can't have duplicates or letters.
There were letters on it.
Was their rules at the time. I don't know if it's that way now. So they had us say, well, you can't have 20. You have to pick something else. It's like, well, Danny's original number is 33. I'm going to go with 33. And that's how it all got started.
And it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, and once I got it, I was like, I like it. I'm keeping it.
Yep.
So,
You kind of have to. Where's the Man of Steel come from?
My day-to-day profession is an iron worker with the Iron Workers Local 10 out of Kansas City. And it's kind of got two stories. It's got the story of it's from being the iron worker and all of that. But it also, we ran, well, that very first year running 305s, I ran I think it was like my fifth or sixth race. We won down at Warrensburg at that CMS. And I come in, I told Daddy it was rough, heavy racetrack. I mean, it was treacherous. I come in, like, yeah, the brakes went out on lap 3. And he goes, man. He goes, you could have really tore this thing up not having any brakes. He goes, you really got to think about this stuff. You're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof. These things will hurt you if you don't treat them with respect. Like, yeah, okay. And Mom had been wanting something on the center of the wing where she could pick the car out.
Yeah, to be able to pick out who you are out there.
So like, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Like, oh, 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
There you go, Man of Steel.
Here you go, Dad. So I showed up with this great big Superman emblem and I showed up with it done. And Dad just shook his head, and it just snowballed from there, just like everything else has.
Any race day rituals that you have? Can you wear green, have green on the car, eat chicken?
Yeah, not really. I used to be real kind of superstitious when we were running the 305s and the micro stuff. But it seemed like anytime we saw deer out in the field or something like that, because we're big outdoorsmen, we always look for deer and turkeys and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. Anytime we saw deer, I was like, oh, great, I'm going to end up upside down. And after being upside down so many times, you just kind of forget about that.
Yeah, you start trying to pay attention to deer. You talk about being upside down. That's got to be a scary moment, and there's been some scary wrecks in your past. One in particular where you kind of learned to fly down at Springfield. How do you deal with the fear of it? Because it's got to be scary.
It's not the fear of it. I think really race car drivers have this illusion that it's not going to happen to them. It'll happen to everybody else. It's not going to happen to them. Yeah. But when it does, that wreck, it really... I didn't think, I mean, from looking at it, that was a bad wreck.
Yeah.
But as far as being in the car and aside from the injuries, I didn't feel like I took that bad of a ride at the time. Because I've lost brakes down here racing and not doing the right thing and smoked the fence head on. And that was the one that really kind of stuck with me, because you have the dream you're falling or something like that. Mine was going down the back straightaway with no brakes and the car doesn't turn.
It just goes straight.
Yeah, but as far as like the fear of it, I guess you really just kind of put it out of your mind and don't think about it. And like the non-wing stuff, I'm no longer running the non-wing stuff, but that was, I'd love to do it, but at the same time, right now I'm in a position where it does not benefit me to, because Danny Lasowski has worked out a deal with me where he's got cars from years past. They're actually Tony Stewart era cars that he has given to me. He goes, these are your cars, you run them. If they get tore up, you do what you got to do to fix them. They're yours. He goes, but at the end of the day, don't sell them. Yep. Like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. And he goes, but there's one stipulation. I want you to stay out of non-wing cars. I don't want you to run these non-wing. I don't want you running anyone else's car non-wing. He goes, it's one of those things. He goes, they put wings on these cars back in the day for a reason.
Yeah.
He'd seen too many of his friends get hurt or killed, and I don't know. The non-wing stuff was fun, but it kind of ran its course as far as that side of things went.
What besides the fear and, let's face it, the financial strain, what is the biggest negative aspect besides those two of racing?
Negative aspect of racing. I don't know. You can look at a lot of negative aspects. The one that really kind of gets you is if you're coming off of a couple, 3 or 4 bad nights, you get to the racetrack, you're like, man, nothing's going to be different tonight. As a driver, you get down on yourself, and it's to the point now as I've gotten older, you start figuring out that it does you no good.
Yeah.
I mean, last night was last night. Today's a new day.
Exactly.
I guess another negative aspect of it is social media. I love social media. I like to get on Facebook and give guys hard times that I consider my friends and just kind of poke the bear with some of my buddies. But at the same time, you can see where social media anyone can get on there and just put their opinion out regardless of what it is.
The bashing of the tracks, the question of calls and stuff. I agree with you 100% on there.
And really, I can't say I'm not guilty of it myself. I've gotten on there and vented my frustration, and then you get done and look at it, or it pops up on that time hop.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I'm an idiot. I should have never said that.
Yeah, I was an idiot 4 years ago. Thanks for reminding me, Facebook.
Yeah.
Average week during the season, how much time you spending on the car?
It drives me nuts, but I try to do all of my maintenance off of 8.5 hours a week.
Okay.
And it's really our day-to-day, and thank God I have the wife I do, because our day-to-day is so structured down to time management. It's unreal.
I was going to say, you got the kid, the family, the job, and you're trying to do the racing program, and I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, so...
And that, I mean, if nothing's wrong, all we have to do is maintenance, get everything filled back up, stuff like that. 8 hours does it easy for me, because I try and manage my time, because I get about 2.5 hours a night at the most. But when the day starts at 4:30 in the morning, by 5:30 you're out the door, and you're packing a little one to Kansas City, which is an hour away, to go to Grandma's house to stay for the day, and then picking up, getting everybody home from work, and then trying to get dinner done and get to the shop.
The last thing you're thinking about is, do I need to groove my tires tonight?
Yep. That's the one thing I don't do. I end up grooving tires at the racetrack. I actually just got done grooving one before I came over here.
What about during the off season? Are you out there working on the car every day, or is it kind of, let's just put it off until this day, and then let's cram it all in for about 2 weeks?
Yeah, I will procrastinate a little bit, but I try and make it to a point to have a car setting ready to go to the racetrack by Daytona. And usually when that point hits, it's like, oh crap, I got to get about a week's worth of stuff done ASAP. Yep. But really, it all depends on the year. If we have a really good season, I'll roll into the off season. Hell, I may strip the race car the next week and have everything ready to go, get powder coated or anything done that needs to be done. But there's some years where, because we, of course, the outdoorsman again, we'll go right into bow season and deer hunting and all that. And there's some seasons or off seasons it'll take December before I start getting carried away.
Before you even think about the car.
I like giving Dad a hard time about this, which my dad owns the shop, and I just kind of get to occupy what I call Mom's side of the shop. And the shop's not insulated, so getting out there, getting motivated to do work is kind of tough.
Yeah, especially during the winter,
Missouri look like the Michelin Man going out there.
Where does the motivation come from? I mean, during the summers, you're out here in the heat. During the winters, you're talking about wearing 4 layers of clothes. The weekend spent away. The money aspect. You have a new the family and everything. Why do it?
I guess it's just the passion for it. I mean, it's so funny because like this year, it really bugged me when I sat down and made a schedule, because I was so used to being selfish and doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted with racing. And now we got little Owen, and it's not fair to everybody involved, because my parents come every week, and I wish I could afford it, but I don't pay the pit pass. I don't do any of that stuff. They just fund it themselves, and all I do is pay for everything to get to the racetrack and get home. And it's one of those things where you love it, and you could never imagine not being involved in it.
Right.
And I honestly, I don't know where to say it actually comes from, but it's just once it's in your blood, it's there.
Yep, it's there. It stays there.
It's to the point where Dad's got 305 motors that he's built, and he loans out to guys, and he started building a 360 motor, and it's stuff like that and I've got all my own stuff that I send off to Lee Nelson up at Ostrich, but Dad's playing is still bettering me racing, because at any given time I say, hey, Dad, I need that motor. It's, well, stick it in. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go do this.
Yeah.
What's the future have in store for you? Are you going to maybe think of a regional championship? Are you after a track championship? Is there any national aspirations? Are we strictly slinging dirt, or maybe some asphalt someday?
The asphalt, I don't know. I don't ever see me getting involved in the asphalt. I just don't have the passion for that. As far as future for me, really, it's kind of a week by week thing. I mean, we're like this year we've budgeted, or we scheduled it to where we had 1 weekend off a month to do stuff with Owen, which kind of leads back to the last question. But it's one of those things. Yeah, we'd love to be able to contend for a championship. We were in the hunt down here last year, and of course Owen had to make his presence known in the middle of the racing season, and it just kind of put things in perspective for me. So the day that I'll go out and campaign and race hard for a championship again, I mean, you never say never, but
it would be cool, but it's not the ultimate goal.
And last year I had so much fun. I think I had a string of like 7 or 8 top 5s and like 11 top 10s. So we had a good year, and I mean, just to go out and know that we're a contender any night we show up, that's kind of my aspiration. I mean, you always want to be respected when you roll into the racetrack, but at the same time, I mean, if down the road the finances get to a point where we can afford to do it, which really they look like they could. I mean, we could go run the whole Warrior region, or I mean, maybe one day run a national tour. But if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And,
exactly.
And it's one of those things where I have to cut corners as it is running the budget that I have. So I don't know if we'd ever venture to the national scene unless we got someone to really come on board.
You have that mentality where if you're going to do it, you want to do it to the best of your ability. You're not going to halfway do anything.
And
so
the last thing I would want is, for say, like with my occupation, I make good money and I've got spectacular benefits, retirement, and all that stuff. So I look at it as I'd never want my family to have to sacrifice to go racing, because there's not like you can just say, oh, well, I'm going to be insured to be a race car driver. You have to go out and buy a specialty policy where I don't pay for health insurance or any of that stuff now. It's all budgeted into what I do.
Yep. So, competition or camaraderie? How we viewing these guys?
Oh, I used to be one of them guys that everyone was competition. I didn't want to be friends with anyone outside my super small clique with all the Higginsville drivers, and now it's why.
Yeah,
I mean,
why? Yeah, what's the point of that?
We're out here to have a good time.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, wheels get banged. I got a few guys I'm still kind of salty with for tearing my race car up last year and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, let's all have fun and enjoy it, because we're not going to the World of Outlaws next week. I mean,
I like that mentality. If you're not having fun, why are we out here? What's your favorite pre-race meal?
Pre-race meals, I'd say favorite is probably just something simple to get to the racetrack, because it always seems lunchtime rolls around right as we're pulling out to go to the races, and it's one of those things I'd rather just get to the racetrack. So, like yesterday, it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, by the way.
And we stopped at Subway, which was supposed to be walk in, get food, and walk out. And I'm sitting there holding little Owen while we're in line. I looked at my wife, Christy, and I was like, how are we going to do this? He needs to eat lunch, too. She goes, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So we ended up ordering food and just sitting down. And we got to the racetrack late, but luckily Mom and Dad were already headed down. So I was like, well, the car's there at least, so everything's great.
That's good. That's good. What about favorite post-race beverage?
Post-race, it really kind of hinders on what's going on the next day. If we're close to home and not a big rush, we might sit around and have a beer, hang out, and joke around with everybody. But this week, that's not happening. No. It was drink some water, maybe drink half of a beer on the way back to the hotel, but that's it.
Driving to and from the track. Let's say it's a 2 o'clock, 3 a.m. drive home from a track. You stop at a Casey's. What's the go-to drink-snack combo?
Probably a 32-ounce Dr. Pepper and maybe a slice of pepperoni pizza.
Casey's Pizza, can't go wrong.
No,
if it's after midnight, it just tastes good.
Yep.
What's your dream car?
Oh, dream car. I used to say when I was a kid, a Dodge Viper, but now I think just a good sprint car any day.
A good sprint car.
Yeah,
there you go.
410, 360 doesn't matter. Of course, I'd probably be a lot better than 360 because I've never driven the 410. But
first time for everything. Never say never. Anybody you want to give a shout out to? A special thanks for everything they've done for your racing program?
This week especially, all my family. My mom, Dad, Christy, Owen. Owen, he kind of just is along for the ride, but they sacrifice a lot to be here and to do this, because we have a place over at the lake at Palm de Terre, and we could be there fishing and riding around the boat, doing all the fun stuff.
You guys choose to be at the racetrack.
And they choose to come and help me, because if they weren't here, it'd just be me and Christy, and it wouldn't be fun.
That's one of the coolest things. The family aspect of your guys' racing program is first and foremost, and then you have a smile on your face, you're having fun. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
buddy. Hollywood is calling. They're making a movie about your life. All the highs, the lows, the trials, the tribulations, everything that's happened in your life. Who plays you?
Oh man, I don't even know. I wouldn't even. Honestly,
Don't even know where to
would not
begin.
know where to guess because that'd be somebody able to be a total asshole at times, and then be a super smart ass on
Yep.
top of it. So I don't know.
How about you? You play yourself in the movie?
Oh God, no! I couldn't act. I
Don't
couldn't,
want
even, I
that
couldn't
either.
even pretend to be me. What are you talking about?
Oh, is there any specific songs that get you in the mood, in the zone, get you pumped, ready to go? You got a soundtrack to your life?
Not really. I listen to so much stuff. I got so many favorite songs that are just out in left field compared to
random
other stuff that
yeah.
I like. As far as racing wise, just something hyped up, just to kind of roll into the racetrack with. But
You're ready to go.
yeah, 99% of the time when we roll into the racetrack, if I'm riding to the truck and trailer, I kind of take a nap on the way to the races and let Dad take care of everything. So
You got to be well rested when you get here.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll leave it at that.
Well, final question of the show. What is your Mount Rushmore of racing? Your top 4 drivers of all time. They can be dirt, sprint, NASCAR,
Oh, wow.
Formula One, anything. Just your top 4 in your mind. They don't have to be the best. Just who you think is the best for.
Well, number one's easy, Danny Lasowski.
Right.
Just because I've grown up around Danny, and he's been so influential on my life.
It's
and
the dude.
It's the dude.
It's
I mean,
the dude.
Hey, who else are you going to know that's going to win over 100 races at Knoxville?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Donnie Schatz, just because of how phenomenal he is in the sprint car and the way he carries himself and conducts himself on top of that, with all the booze that he gets and all that stuff. I mean, you can't knock the guy ever, in my opinion. Man, 2 more. I'm trying. There's so many to choose from. I'm gonna probably say Brian Brown, just because growing up around Brian and everything I've learned from him and Danny both. And then man, this even tastes bad even coming out of my mouth. But Randy Martin probably. Just the old fart. He keeps telling me he's going to retire, and I always give him a
He's
hard
been
time.
retiring for the last 5 years.
At least. I was so hoping they were going to give us microphones at the awards banquet for LOS last year, just because I wanted to get up there and roast him a little bit. But I mean, you can't help but respect the guy. He's done so much in the sport.
The number of wins that he has, it just speaks for itself.
Exactly.
I mean, he's one of the he is the most winningest driver in the Warrior region, and that is awesome of you to say that, to put one of your competitors on your top 4 list. That even goes to say even more credit to the type of person that you are. We're all in this together. That makes me feel awesome. That's a good Mount Rushmore.
It's fun with Randy because I can go over and just be a total smartass to him, and he just kind of tells me to kiss his ass.
Yeah,
we bust balls back and forth and have fun. But when you see that 14 roll out, you know you got to beat the best.
The competition just raised when you see. Well, it's the same way when you see that 33 pull into the pits. That competition level just went up.
It all depends on which driver shows up.
All right, buddy. That's about all I got for you tonight. I'm going to let you go back to your car, get it ready, because we got a race to do tonight.
Yep. Hopefully we can get it going.
Good luck, buddy. And again, thank you for being on here.
Yep. Thank you.
Next time.